4:59.
Anybody on? Or can I ask that?
Oh,
Oops. 4:59.
Andrew, you need to scoot over a little bit to the right. You can only see your right eye, not your left eye.
Oh, it's good. That's why I'm sitting just like this.
His good eye. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We can call our work session to order. Gail, roll call.
Tyler?
Here.
Yep.
John?
Here.
Deb?
Here.
Andrew?
Here.
All present.
All right, great. We will start with entertaining a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the first and only item on the agenda right now is just a discussion regarding the superintendent search. I know we left the last meeting with news and we kind of all went out and did a little bit of research. I actually know that a lot of you guys were doing research, so I didn't do a whole lot, sorry. But maybe we can start this off with some discussion about what we found. I think there's a big question, primary question, which is just, would you utilize a firm versus trying to do this on our own? And I don't know.
Yeah, let's start there first. Let's figure out if we want to have a firm. Can we just go around and say yes or no?
Like what we think each of us would,
Yeah,
just our
I'd like
ideas
to
about
use
it.
I'd like to use a firm.
That would be my sentiment.
I think that would be my initial inclination too.
Agreed.
Just
Tyler?
even,
Absolutely.
okay, so we're all on the same
Okay,
page
so
about
now-
that.
Cool.
Tyler, I know you've done a good amount of research. Do you guys mind if we start by just
No,
listening to
no.
what he has? Okay,
Yeah, just real quick, reached out to Harry Heiligenthal from IASB. And those are the two documents that I passed along to Gail. But Harry gave a long list of search firms, and then he basically gave a short list with some references. And had a chance to follow up with the references. In fact, John and I got on the call with two of the three on here. And John can pipe in, but essentially there's three, I think, very good firms that would do a nice job at this point. Certainly don't have a horse in the race, but like Jeff just asked, are we supportive of a search firm? I think so. So going off of what IASB recommended, I would encourage us to consider bringing in those three search firms as an interview process, and hopefully we'd be comfortable with at least one of them to move forward.
Just to piggyback off of that, I did do a little research, reach out to some other local schools that had recently made a hire, whether it be a superintendent hire or another hire. And the two names that I came up with are on your list of three too, as well, Tyler. So I would agree in my mind that those three look good to me from my calls. There's no one else that we're missing. So, and I personally think three is a good number. I think we get two, four,
Three.
probably a little too much. I think three is perfect.
I think too many, and I think it
Yep.
just gets to be even a hassle in its own right, but.
So one thing when visited with the references, just on how they went about their process of choosing a search firm. I think most of them talked about bringing in two or three and giving them 20, 30 minutes. I think they all did them in one evening. You just kind of went through it, and at the end of the evening made a decision, which I would suggest that we at least, I don't know if it has to be in person, but it'd be nice if it's in person, but do an interview with all three. And if we can do that sooner rather than later, I think that would.
I'd want them in person, Tyler, if we could do that.
Yep, I would agree.
I do.
And then a lot of them did was they would have, some of them would mix the groups, some of them would keep the groups the same, and so we could think about that. But essentially, they'd have 3 rooms, and then they would just rotate them around. That you would talk, and then people would rate. They would rate the candidates, and then ultimately they said that it was important up front to say that you're going to have input, but it'll ultimately be the board's decision with regard to how that goes. And so Just to kind of put that in your mind.
You mean after we,
You're talking about the superintendent search or the firm search?
The firm search.
Oh, I'm talking about the superintendent search.
Oh, okay,
Search,
gotcha.
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
that you'd have stakeholders. Yeah,
Yeah, got it.
I'm jumping cart ahead of the horse.
No, that's okay.
But
So-
it'll get you guys thinking about
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
And so was it primarily, it would primarily just be then in front of the board that we would have to have the three,
Yeah, that's it.
the three.
Yeah, we would,
search
just the board pick. Yeah, I
Oh.
I was getting way ahead. We already had the firm picked and I'm jumping to the next step.
so,
Yeah.
so, on a question I would have, are these meetings open or closed? When we
That's a
pick
good
a
question.
firm,
Oh, I think they.
I think they're,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
I think they're
it's
open.
something
Yeah.
that happened
And
this
they-
meeting.
And we kind of asked on cost and it's not a number.
Similar, Jeff, the way I kind of look at it, it's kind of similar when we went through architect review. So on services, Gail, correct me if I'm wrong, but on services, really doesn't have to put out for bid. It's really a selection of who we want to work with. And I think it'd be the same here. Not that we're going to be secretive or anything, but I would think it's the board decision. One thing we'll want to keep in mind, I think, is where John was going is what's their process, right? And so I know there'll be questions about who gets involved and what's the selection process, but I think those would be questions we could ask each of the firms when we bring them in.
Okay,
And they'll all have stakeholder representation. It's just kind of how they arrange it, but it was very similar to just how you wanted to arrange it, so.
okay.
One of the school board members we talked to talked about the importance of the timing, and like for us, I think we're in good shape, but they mentioned that in their efforts, they wanted to make sure that the position was posted and open and recruiting by the Christmas break, because that's a good time when busy superintendents might be able to take a breather and go, wow, Gilbert might be something I'd like to take a look at. So I think we're in good shape timing wise, as long as we keep moving forward. But if we could pick a firm already in early November and then move forward with letting them do some of the initial whatever criteria and posting that we will put together, then I think the target would be to have that out there for the public by Christmas break.
So what are you guys thinking about in terms, I know you just mentioned early November. We have, I think our board meeting is the 9th.
Yeah, we have a work session
Before
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 that.
that, so we got a long.
Yeah,
meeting.
that's a long day, that on that day, the 9th, but I don't know what it takes to schedule this kind of a thing and how, if you had any idea of how soon or whenever we could go on that.
I mean, if depending upon our schedules, right? So I'm not sure what everybody's schedules look like. I would think they'd be fairly responsive. I mean, this is what they do. And so if even next week, so not this week, but next week, if we wanted to look at a few dates that would be work for all of us in the evening, I think I would propose we try to bring all three in and just do it in a night rather than do it over several nights.
Yeah, I do too. I like that.
That would definitely be preferred, so,
But if we could kind of look at calendars, then
So what you're kind of giving an outline here, Tyler, is you're saying, let's get them in here that week between maybe the 8th to the 21st, before Thanksgiving, and then let them do their work in the month of December. And then we'll start the whole process of talking to them in January.
well, I was kind of hoping to jump it next week,
The week
Not
is-
this week.
yeah, the week of,
Week of
next week would be the.
week of November too. If there would be a couple of nights that we together would be available, then we'd at least have a couple options to try to shoot for. Then we'd have that done. If for whatever reason we weren't comfortable with deciding that night, we'd have a board meeting on the 9th to follow. And an opportunity to follow up, but if we could get 3 interviewed, make a decision next week, meaning the week of November 2nd, I think that'd be great.
And then,
Do you just, oh, sorry, go ahead.
and I think too, Jeff, during that interview process in my mind is, I think they'll start going through the timelines in regards to when they'll bring in candidates,
Right.
how long it takes, because really, in my mind, I don't think we know yet how that's gonna look. But again, if they need the Christmas period to really recruit, it does make sense, and sometime in January, we would start to see some of the candidates
I'm traveling a bunch in December. I
Mhm.
mean, December.
Yeah, so I think that would be a good reason to try to get it done early November, Jeff, because how I think it might go, depending on the firm we choose, is they're gonna want a little bit of our time to understand the criteria, the values of the candidate that we want. They'll probably want to extend that out to the admin team and potentially to the community. Then they'll come back to us and say, hey, this is kind of the profile we think that Gilbert's looking for. And then pretty much we're hands off while they do the work.
Right.
We could do that they're doing that in December, then I think that's pretty good timing.
Yeah. Do you just want to go around the room quick and just get an idea? Like, oh, first of all, I should say, and I don't want to assume this, but Tyler or John, since you is there somebody that is like willing to reach out to these guys? Is that Gail? Who would be responsible for reaching
Well,
out?
we
to
need a
each
lead
other?
person in this, out of us. We're gonna have to have somebody of us lead it, if you don't want to. I mean,
I don't know that I have the necessarily the time.
Tyler, you want to reach out to them and kind of lead this process of finding a search firm?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll be
okay,
happy.
thanks.
I'll be happy to be the point person, and Gail, you and I can work together on just coordinating.
Okay,
So
thank you.
So I think we can make a motion that we interview those three firms
can't have any
to pick one.
It's just a
Work session.
Oh, we can't. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So but I do think
Never
that
mind.
We need a couple of dates though, because I
Yeah.
think as when Tyler talks to them, if there's a conflict, we would
Right.
want a backup
Yeah.
to try to get all three of them together at one
what's the
night.
date today?
today is October 26th. So next
So
week would be,
Anything but the third is election night, so.
yeah,
I still think with that
I'm-
second week, if we could do it, and I'm not trying to push it to them, I've got some stuff that first week, but if we could go anywhere between the 10th and the 13th, and then have the interviews during those 4 days, those all are good for me. That first week is just tough, but I mean, I'll make it work if that's what everybody else wants to do.
yeah.
We'll have a fairly long board meeting on the 9th, I imagine. So
Yeah.
Right.
you don't have, is there any nights next week that we can try to target, Jeff?
Maybe Thursday, Tyler,
The 5th?
5th, yeah.
Okay, let's look at that. And then what about the following week for everybody?
And then the following week, I'm good.
Yeah,
So
You're good?
I'm kind of being selfish on that first week, and I apologize.
That's all right. It's all right.
that
What
Thursday,
about everybody else for the week of the 9th, which obviously we have a board meeting on the 9th, but 10th,
Yeah.
11th, 12th?
that's,
I'm wide open right now.
that would work for me too. And so Thursday next week works, the
Yep.
5th,
Okay.
as well as,
Yeah, so I can do
any
the,
night but Monday the following week.
I can do the 5th as well, and then that following week, I just probably would need a 5:30 start time because it's a board week for me to get here on time.
Okay.
Okay,
And does the 10th, 11th, or 12th work for you, John?
I think as long as it's the 5:30.
Yeah, if we can start at 5:30, I have board meetings that week, so. Actually, the 11th I could start earlier because that's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
So that.
well, I don't know, I understand we're supposed to acknowledge it. But we can still have a meeting on the 11th.
So what I'd suggest is we'll try to target the 5th. If one of the firms or a couple of firms can't do that, backups the 10th, then the 12th, and maybe last resort, the 11th.
Okay,
That's fine.
And then 5:30, everybody?
Just to make it simpler, I think it would be
Yeah, 5:30.
5:30 or later would probably be,
That's
for sure
perfect.
for me.
What do you think is the amount of time they can come in and present? Half hour?
Yeah,
Give me a window.
I mean, that's gonna be tight with questions, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at a 2-hour session.
So maybe 45 minutes then, just plan on half hour and then questions for 15 minutes. Hey, we're gonna run over.
But then I think it'd be good just to wrap it up that night with a follow-up, right? So they're all gone and we go, okay, what do we think? So we'll need a little time for that.
yeah,
Yeah, gotcha, afterwards.
and as far as spending time, this is what we should spend time
Yeah,
on.
yeah, no, I agree.
I can stay up
So
till
that
almost 9
night
o'clock.
doesn't work for you, Jeff. let's.
Yeah, no, let's try and head for the 5th. Let's head for the 5th and make that our go-to date and at 5:30 and we'll go with the 3 firms everybody's aware of.
And with the 5th too, I think it gives us a little leeway, just in case we have some follow-up after that. We can follow up prior to the meeting on the 9th, that
And-
Monday meeting.
Potentially add
I
that to
mean, we
the,
could, if we
to
had to,
the-
we could add to the agenda.
well, I mean, if there needed to be.
If there needed, yeah, our goal would be to.
Yeah, that's a
get it
good
done.
idea.
But just in case there was like, hey, we need to do one quick phone call or check
Yeah.
on.
Are you good with that, Tyler?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that will be considered a meeting then, so
Yeah,
we
special
can
meeting.
make.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's,
It'll be action,
Whatever.
possible action.
yeah. Okay.
And you're good, Tyler? You're okay with reaching out and getting all that set up?
No problem. Good.
Awesome. Thank you,
Cool,
Tyler.
Cool.
And if this turns out to be a big effort, of course, we can talk about expanding that later.
Yeah.
Don't mean to pin you for this the whole way through, but we can talk about it.
Reach out, Tyler, if you need something.
Okay.
Will do.
Anybody else have anything else to talk about?
No, don't worry about the time. I mean, if we get them in here and we're in here and you want to do an hour for each one, let's do it. I'm here. Once I'm here. So
Did you bring
whatever the number is.
dinner?
What?
Will you be bringing in the dinner?
And I was
I'll
gonna
bring
say,
dinner in. I'll bring dinner in. You guys come, I'll get dinner Friday.
I'll be
I like your potatoes and I'll do a Frosty. How's that?
That's the guy I don't make any money on.
Awesome. Okay, I think that pretty much sums up our.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
There you go.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor?
All right.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks.